So, I just want to get across the fact that you cannot subset a group of Jewry to blame for all the problems that are going on right now to escape being called a racist. The reason the Jews coined the term racist and coined the term anti-Semite, which were both Jewish coined terms in the last 150 years or so, they're new words, they're new concepts. And they were both created for propaganda purposes, to use as a verbal cudgel and to make you a social pariah. So if you blamed them as a group, you would become a social outcast. And they monopolized the media to sculpt this social norm, to make it a norm, to outcast anyone who blamed the Jews for anything as a group, and push this individualism. Individualism is the way. Individualism is patriotic. But is it patriotic if it stops you from telling the truth? What if it is all Jews? Because you have people today who will just say, it's not all Jews, it's just the Zionists. Well, the Bolsheviks they hated Zionism. The Bolsheviks didn't get along with Zionists at all. Matter of fact, they were competing, at least facially, they were competing Judaic, geopolitical philosophies. They were competing theologies. The Bolsheviks killed 100 million people. Were they the good Jews? I'm looking for the good Jews. Then they'll say, oh, it's just the Israeli Jews. Okay. Well, I mean, a lot of people who are backing AIPAC, who is dictating American policy here in the States, are American Jews. Bill Ackman, Peter Thiel, these are American Jews. Radvinsky, these are American Jews. Sheldon Adelson, these are American Jews who are pouring hundreds of millions of dollars into AIPAC. So America will basically have American politicians in a headlock and say, we will cut off your funding, we will turn the media against you, we own the media. If you play ball with us and you pass our policies, we'll have the media endorse you, we'll have our other politicians across the country endorse you, we'll put you on the front stage, we'll put you on the debate stage, we'll make sure you get front and center, but you got to do what we say. You got to return these favors. You got to quid pro quo. And that essentially means that our American politicians are working for Israel. But it's from the funding of American Jews, not Israeli Jews. And then you have, all right, so maybe you think, it's just Zionists and Bolsheviks, but there's plenty of good Jews. Well, before Zionism and Bolshevism existed, in 1869, you had a rabbi named Rabbi Eichhorn, who bragged about the Jews poisoning the wells of Europeans and causing the Black Plague, resulting in a death of 1/3 of Europe. 1/3. All the Jews in Europe, they escaped their countries and went to Poland before the beginning of the Black Plague. And Poland was left almost virtually unscathed in the Black Plague. Look it up. You can look it up yourself, and then look up the quote by Rabbi Eichhorn bragging about it. Then before that, you have Candace Owens tried to get away with saying, it's not all Jews, it's the Frankists, which were a 19th century troublesome group of Jews. Then you have these other people who say, it was Adam Weishaupt and the Rothschilds and the Warburgs and the Schiffs, and it's the banker Jews. Well, how about this? How about it's all of them? How about that? I mean, if you're Christian and you believe our goodness comes from Christ, our moral laws comes from The Levitical and Judaic, and by Judaic, I do not mean modern day Jews. I mean Christ the Judahite, which is totally different. So the Judahite and Levitican laws, and from Christ, which is where our goodness comes from, right? And these people, every other religion in the world, basically, that I know of, recognizes Christ as, the Buddhists recognize him as like Christ consciousness, like the peak of enlightenment. Islam calls him the Messiah, not only a prophet. 11 times in the Quran he's called the Messiah. Every religion denotes Christ as this great man. If not a Messiah, if not a prophet, if not better. And us Christians view him as God, or as part of the Trinity, or the Son of God, but divine, past the point evangelic, divine. And Jews say he's in hell. Not some Jews, all Jews. All Jews say he's in hell, burning in his own excrement and semen. What kind of shit is that anyway? And why would he be burning in excrement? What did he do that was so evil? So that's who these people are. At the core of their being, they're Christ deniers, which means they're demonic. Their soul is tainted. It's done. So you got to recognize that. It's all of them. You can't just pick out a group. Chabad. You can't pick out a group. Chabad are Talmudics. Hasidim are Talmudics. Like, what group? Name the group that's supposed to be the good Jews. Point them out. Point out the country that didn't expel Jews after they let them in. After a while, every country kicks them out because they poison it until it's destroyed. And then when it gets destroyed, people investigate. They get to the root of the destruction, and they find the same group of people there every single time throughout history for 3,000 years. And now your country's going down the toilet, and you think it's somebody else. You think for the first time in history, it's somebody else. Because you don't want to be called a racist. Well, I'd rather tell the truth. It's been Jews every single time. It's Jews now, and it'll be Jews next time. And I don't care what you think about me for saying that. Because I've done the research. While you were watching Family Guy and the football game, I was reading Jewish history. I was reading history books. I was reading the Bible. I was reading the Talmud. I was reading the Kabbalah. I was reading the Zohar. I was reading the Jewish Encyclopedia. I was reading the history of the Rothschilds. I was reading the history of Adam Weishaupt. You understand? So it's not so much, I don't care if you call me a racist. I care if I'm correct or incorrect. So if you wanted to attack me, hurt my feelings because you don't like what I say, the only way you could really do that is show me that I'm incorrect. Show me that I'm factually wrong. Because fuck your feelings. And if I'm factually wrong, I would like to be. I wish I was wrong. I don't want to be calling a group of people evil. Is that supposed to make me happy? It doesn't make me happy. My mother's a fucking Jew. She converted to Judaism from Catholicism when I was like 30. She raised me Catholic. And then I don't know what the fuck happened to her, but she turned into a Jesus hater somehow. I don't know how. But so it's nothing that makes me happy about it at all. But I'm going to tell the truth. Even if it makes me a social pariah, so be it. So, it's all of them. Point blank.